In my last video of recreating Murray's costume manner from Secret of the Mimic in Minecraft, we took a look at the first basement of the series and built Nurse Dolly's healing hospital. In today's episode we're going to take a look at the main two basements, those being the White Tiger Tunnels and Sleepy Moon basement. Now with that out of the way let's get into what we need to know. So the basement itself is pretty weird, I would say. It's got an inventory tube system, grey white walls, grey floors, like the classic thing. The stairs that lead down, because the basement is slightly more down. Get out of my way there. So we have this lever right here. You would flick it upwards and it would open this door into the main basement itself. We're not going to do that, so instead I'm going to use a debug camera. So as you can see, it goes downwards and then looks like a parking garage with all the pillars that it has inside, and it has like these random just like stuff. Obviously there's not much decorations because the light would be off and there's no need to add decorations when there's no light. So it's just a bunch of random decorations, and it's kind of just half this long part and then the other side's the same thing but half of it's a maze over here. So like you can see that it's like a half maze and like a more open maze, and the half maze is more good in my opinion. It just looks so cool in my opinion. So with a work in progress for the tiger outlines, here they are, and as you can see, you have the pillars in 3 different colors: yellow over here, blue over there, and then red. So glitch. You can just see at the end how grand this will be when it's done. You can just see this massive hallway with all of these like pillars of like yellow, blue, and red. It'll just so look cool in the end because they'll all be connected. It'll just be one long walkway, and you have these small little like fences or whatever, blockades in the way. Also, this connects to the admin wing outside of it right here. This elevator right outside the admin wing, that is where the tunnels actually connect. However, if I were to go down here and go into spectator mode, and we would enter over here, and here is the elevator where you would exit. So right here, this is where the elevator you would exit would be about here, and up here is the loading bay. See, it's the loading bay, it's not the retail showroom, which is all the way over here. Like, unless the elevator was on the other end, there's no way this would reach the retail showroom. It's even flipped, because you're facing like that way and you're facing the other way. I just don't understand you still. But just with all of these different things, like I'd use light blue terracotta and the terracotta to represent different colors of things, like the yellow to represent the blue, represent that pole, and then the red to represent the red poles, just to make it so it's more easier for me to figure out what represents what when it actually comes to building. So here are the Sleepy Moon basement outlines, and I've turned it into a Lightmatica file right here, so I don't have to mess around with the other one over there, so I don't have to keep breaking and teleporting it everywhere with that. So here we have it, and I'm going to move it around to see if I can actually get it to fit under the theater where it's meant to be. So right now, this is basically where it would be if you were to look through it into the theater. And this is extremely long down, and of course Steel is big brain and have this door hospital room in front of it, and as you can see it's already clipping in there. So we could rotate it, and at this point the hole is really big, so I'm just going to rotate it right now. And as you can see, oh my god, I'm going to have to move this. Alright, so I'm just going to have to move it and see if it will be able to connect, but I guarantee you it will not be able to connect at all. So the tiger tunnels weren't that interesting of a build. However, it was nice to see after I completed it, because other than this main little starting area before you go into the tunnels themselves, with the white walls and everything, it's basically just a brick wall with a bunch of random decorations and some pillars. And all of these like pillars interconnect to each other in like a grid format. And the grid format is 7 by 7. So it's like a square, just so I know how long it should be. And this spans the entirety of underneath of MCM, which makes this the biggest basement. Now, when I build R&D next episode, I don't know if that will make that the biggest one, or if the Tiger Tunnels will stay as the biggest basement in MCM. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But I did notice that there are lots of pipes on the ceiling, and decorations are just random. Because in a factory, to be realistic, why would you need like this sort of maze in a basement, specifically other than just to add gameplay elements into a game? I'm one of those people who don't like, I know this is for gameplay reasons, but, like, I'm a realistic person, and I will question the game to why it has this. Like, what factory has this sort of basement? Like, it's, like, if it was a parking garage, which is what is what I think the, Tiger Tunnels look like, in my opinion, as a, like, parking tunnel with all, like, the pillars and everything, that would make sense, but it's not even a parking garage. It's just a basement with a bunch of, like, random spotlights that flicker on and off, with these random, like, gates with tarps on them. Don't really know, but I guess it's some sort of storage area. The main maze itself is very claustrophobic in this room, with all of the Starbright little holders that you have to grab. There wasn't many mascot suits in this part, but there will be in that other small in that other small warehouse part. But the main color scheme, or well, color palette or block palette of the Tiger Tunnels is basically just polished granite, mud bricks, granite, and then occasionally some stripped oak wood and oak planks. It's very bricky, just bricks, and the only colors that you'll most likely ever see are the Starbrights, the strips on the bottom of the walls, and the pillars, or if you get a colorful pipe, or some sort of grate, as you can see, like, in this room, it has some, well, I still don't know what you would call these things, like, fences, gates, holding up support pillars with wood inside them. I guess that's the only color you're ever going to see. So it's not really it's a weird basement still. It took surprisingly a long time to build. I thought it would only take about an hour, since how actual tiny and small these basements are, but the maze took me the longest. Like, I'm not good with mazes. I just don't like making mazes because it's always so hard. Now, this small little warehouse area, I had to cut about maybe a little bit of it. There's like one pillar section that I have to get off because I had made the maze too big and I'd have to restart everything, and I only realized that at this point I had to do that. So you're only missing about 2 mascot suits, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it will bug me that I am missing about 2 hallways. I know no one else will care, but I definitely will. End of time lapse. Start of new time lapse. Alright. The Sleepy Moon basement. This thing is a mess. It has the weirdest possible shapes, colors, and design I've ever seen, and the replay, as you will see in some parts, will be so just like that. It was just so like that. The colors are weird, the shape is weird, the aesthetic of it is weird, but it was fun to build, other than it taking 4 hours. Holy. Well, the shapes are really weird, but it's kind of divided into 4 quadrants. We've got the purple one, which is the one I'm building right now. There's the classic just brick one with no color at all, just bricks. The green section, and then the blue section. And since all of the colors in the game, they're bricks in the game. And in Minecraft, there are no bricks that are more than brick color. So when it comes to other colors that aren't really meant to be bricks, I have to use blocks to make it look like the same color and still give it variation to make it look like bricks. Like, just for the bricks here, I use packed mud, brown mushroom, and mud bricks. And for the purple section, I use crimson planks, a strip crimson hi-fi, I think that's how you say it, and I used terracotta. And for the blue section, I used blue nether wart, cyan wool, and then warped stripped log. And then for the green section, I used moss, green terracotta, and green wool. So, and the roof would either be like an archway of the same floor, or it would use this grey andesite floor, or it would just have a wooden floor with wooden supports. And this thing was a monster to build. Like, me deciding what I was meant to build next, like what hallway, it was just so hard for me to choose what I was actually going to build. So, yeah, Sleepy Moon Basement's going to be one of the hardest areas I've ever built, and one of the longest areas it's taken me to build. And the time-lapse was so bad to get. Oh, this took me hours and hours. But I'm so glad you're able to see it, and this is the end of the Sleepy Moon Tunnels. So, now with both of the massive basements built up, we can now take a look at them on the inside. Starting with the tiger tunnels that start here. So it has these broken roofs sort of thing, with like exposing roofs, and then we have this elevator right here. You can go inside it, and it would of course have a small little shaft you can just view through these iron bars here. You could go inside it and make it work, but that's not my problem at the moment. My problem's building. So in here, you can see all of the wires, like the kind of like machinery, I'd say. I also have a new design for the inventory 2 system. I made it 2 blocks. There's tape, audio recording, some pipes in the ceiling, a stool right there. We can go down the stairs, and this is where we'd be able to flick this lever, the door would open, and we would start the tiger segment. And as you can see, there's the level in the center, and this is everything on the ceiling. So this is very dark. Just look at how dark it is, and this is lighter than it would be in game. So I don't know if I want to make it somehow so it's darker in here. You can see all of the random things on the just where lights would be in the game. You would make it here, and this is where the first Starbright podium is. You would grab it, Sharpay right there. You go down here. You would continue to go down here, put the Starbright here to unlock this door, where you would flick a lever, and then you would have to go all the way out here, where you would then go down here, where there's a door that leads to absolutely nowhere. Thank you, Steelwolf, for the continuity. I appreciate it. You go over here, more pipes, more ceiling pipes, and if you go here, this is where the Mimic was made. Edwin made the Mimic in this vent. I did not add slabs. Place slabs successfully. So this is the room where Edwin made the Mimic, presumably. Pretty cool. I don't know what's in the basement, but you can just see everything in this room. Crawling through this vent. Oh god. Alright, we'll back out. So let's go. Buttons on the floor to represent arrows. We can see more pipes and more shells filled with these other things. You'll get the next Starbright here. You would then go into this maze, which is blue and green mostly, with some posters, some support pillars, just like wooden things that you can crouch on to make the gameplay segment more difficult. Put the Starbright in here. It would open up the door, but here's a penguin mascot suit and the exact same one hanging from the ceiling that you have to crouch under. I don't know what it is. With there not being many mascot suits in here besides that small little warehouse. We do have the fences as the ceiling, which I do think is pretty cool. Go out into this small area, then you'll get a Starbright here to unlock this. You'll need a Starbright to put in there, so you'd come in here, grab the Starbright. The door would close behind you, you would come back here, mascot suits everywhere, a wardrobe, maze and all that, chains hanging on the ceiling. Go past this mycelium man, back through here, then you'll go into this small little maze section with more crouching. Yay, Steel loves to crouch now. That sounds weird. Alright, so we're gonna be like, going through here. We would go down, put the Starbright into this door, flick the lever, yeah, it was already flicked, I forgot. And then we'll go back up through here, and then you would go into this right here, and this would lead you to the retail showroom. But Steelwool, that's the loading bay, Steelwool. The retail showroom's all the way. Oh, holy lag. Well, the loading bay is not. Oh, brain. What? What? Sleepy Moon. Sleepy Moon. Sleepy Moon. This is a Sleepy Moon elevator that goes down into this massive, absolutely massive tunnel that I freaking made. Starbright. What is it with basements having Starbright? It's better than a flashlight, I guess. All the colors on the wall, you can go through here. I just noticed that I didn't place 2 blocks. Shame on me. Get out of survival. Shame on me, Evan. Shame on me. I don't want to go on survival. Alright, back in creative. Creative. Here is the moon. And the hole that's just cut off with black concrete. And the moon. I really had to look at a couple of TEXEs for reference, because the one that I looks like a blob. It was so ugly. Oh god, I don't want to even see that thing again. Small room right here with a mailbox and a TV monitor right here. You can go through here, and then there's a locker, which is a different design with granite to make it represent it's rusted with the banner instead of the sign and the button. There's everywhere chains hanging from the ceilings. I used the carpet with sign trick to make wires. More kind of the grates. Another Starbright podium with wires to light up the area to complete the puzzle. You can go through just all the quadrants. See, now we're in the brown. brick section. Keep going through this little hallway, nothing that way. Stop right. Go down here, and you'll be able to see through this hole. Like, you can see if the sleepy moon's coming or something, or whatever. You can go out here, just look around, mostly very claustrophobic, and very weirdly shaped, the basement is. But more wires on the floor that you can follow to just see where everything goes. Another star bright. What? Evan, what? What? What did I do? Oh my god, what? Why is there so much missing concrete? Did I remove the tiger tunnel's roofs or something? Like, what? Why is there so much missing concrete powder? Oh god, that's done. The elevator, you can see through this little area, which means we're almost at the Moonhead again, and here it is. Moonhead. You can go around, there would be like the little thing right there. Go through into this other entryway, where you can just view, and you can just see the absolute, how big this basement actually is. It's big and mazy and twiny, but it's not big in size and simple. More star bright. You go through this little thing. More wires. I don't know, I'm still running, but content. Yay. And then that is the end of the basement, and as you can see, get out of my way. As you can see, this actually isn't connected where it should be. As you can see, the hole isn't actually there, and it's separated into 4 quadrants, like I mentioned, the blue one, the green one, and all that. I used these block pallets that I think I mentioned in the time-lapse, the brown mushrooms, the mud bricks, the packed mud, all of that. The purple terracotta, yeah, just the green terracotta moss, green wool. They all make a good brick texture if you don't have the right colored bricks that you need. And of course, we have the hole, which actually isn't connected to the theater. Why still? Like, literally, you had one job. You had one job to make your game accurate, and you didn't. You chose PNGs over everything else. Why? PNGs are not that. To solve the situation where Steel are being absolute idiots, I'm going to show you how I actually made the hole. So as you can see, if I were to go down into the hole in the theater, I will go back down into the basement of the Sleepy Moon. So I can walk around and go the entire maze, everything's here. And you can go back up through the hole and enter back into the theater or the Storytime showroom. So I can go back up and look at that. I'm back in the theater. Perfect, I can go back down into the hole and I'll be back in the basement. And I'm going to tell you the way I was managed to do this. So the way I did this is a separate build. So right now I'm in the main basement itself, and on top is the version of the theater and a smaller version of the Storytime showroom, so it doesn't clip into the retail showroom. And so this is so you can see the 2 rooms when you're in the main basement itself, looking up through the hole, and then when you go up, you'll be teleported into the main theater with a smaller version of the copy of the moon room, which is the only thing visible. So there's a smaller copy, and if you think I use immersive portals, you need to get out now. Alright, and so the way I was able to do this is with a something that's actually could be used in a ruin sensation. If you're making ruin, is it will execute if you're in the hole, and if you're about 5 blocks radius, and it'll teleport you about on the x-axis 25 blocks, y-axis 36 blocks, and on the z-axis 84 blocks, which is the exact amount of distance it will take you to teleport you from this top area back down into the bottom area. So the transition is almost seamless, and the only way you can see the difference is the Storytime showroom's roof going up a bit higher. So this just makes it so in case someone actually does want to go through the hole, you can see the transition a bit quick, but you can, if anyone wants to fall into the hole, you'll actually go into the basement itself instead of just a smaller copy or black concrete. And I think this is a great solution instead of using the immersive portals mods or just making it a black concrete, instead of trying to make this connect. As you can see, there was no way I was going to be able to get the maze to connect without having this super long. And I'm just quite happy that I was able to get the moon and the interior and everything in the maze to connect up through this valid TP command. And it just makes it does make MCM look a bit weird though, with 2 theaters in Storytime showroom. But I'm glad that I was able to, because I was always dreading this because I knew they didn't actually align, but now that I was able to get a way for those 2 to connect, and you can actually see all 3 stories at once, I'm happy. I would like it so you could see entities, but I have started doing I've redone this part in the welcome show, the sun art, because it was an oval before, but now I have changed it into a more rounder circle for R&D because it's not an oval. So I'm worried R&D will clip into the theater area that I've just added. So I'm hoping it won't do that. It shouldn't, but I hope it doesn't. I hope. That is going to bring us to the end of today's video, and I hope all of you enjoyed. This will be the second to last basement before we have finished MCM and we move on to the exterior and the mansion. In the next episode, we will be doing R&D and then the finale of Secret of the Mimic. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode, as it was super fun for me to put together, even though it was maybe repetitive over and over again. But building these two basements and the Sleepy Moon basement was absolutely fun for me to do, to finally see this build coming together. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic in Minecraft Part 8!